Welcome to the informatics session of the annual economics conference. I'm Ferenc Pongrácz, the president of the informatics session, and now we are going to talk about food and future and the role of data and informatics with the owner, CEO, and president of Tungsram, Joerg Bauerrel. Joerg, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
And first of all, I would like to congratulate to you. Tungsram is one of the companies that has received the Innovation Award that was set by the Innovation Office and the Ministry of Innovation and the Innovation Association. And actually, Tungsram received that in informatics field, yes. And because of the agri-tech product portfolio. So I thought that it would be a good idea to talk about this. Maybe a little bit surprised what Tungsram is doing in informatics, what Tungsram is doing with data and with agriculture. So can you say a couple of words, why did you receive this award and what is it about?
Yeah, I mean, again, thank you very much for the invitation. I had the chance to speak maybe 3 years ago. I think we were in Miskolc at that time, so I know the organization, and I think it's great events. Now, why did we get the award? I mean, let me take one step back, maybe. So Tungsram is this year 125 years old, and we are very, very proud of our heritage of innovation. We were the first Central European company that had an industrial laboratory in the 1920s. And when you think about it, I mean, this was in the middle of the economic crisis. Everyone probably was talking about cost cutting, how to survive. At that time, Leopold Aschner invested into innovation. And the same happened multiple times in our history, and we're doing the same now. So in the middle of COVID, which obviously we didn't foresee, so COVID is affecting us short-term like everyone else. In the middle of COVID, we are seeing already the opportunities. And one of the biggest opportunities we see is that the awareness of food supply chains or supply chains in general, things that we call strategic autonomy. So are we doing our job right in Europe, for example, if we are depending on other parts of the world for critical infrastructure, for critical elements of our life like food? This awareness has been growing dramatically. And we are in that meaning lucky that we started our journey in this area 3 years ago, pretty much at the beginning, in indoor farming, as we call it. So think about vertical farms or high-tech greenhouses where we can control the environment. And why is it an IT element? Because it is a controlled environment, practically an IoT device, where we can control all the aspects of growing a plant or growing food. That is becoming more and more data-driven, and it's becoming an IT exercise as much as it is a plant exercise.
Yeah, this is very, very exciting. And actually, we are sitting, you mentioned Aschner report, and we are sitting in a more than 100-year-old factory building, but it's super high-tech. Yeah. Actually, we are making this interview in the vertical farm of Tungsram, which is a research vertical farm. This is also something that was high in the news this year. So maybe you can say a couple of words about this vertical farm and again, what technologies are in it.
Yeah, I think we're particularly proud that it's practically 100% Tungsram made, or in other words, made in Hungary. So it's a combination of hardware from Heute, lights from Nagykanizsa, and the sort of overall coordination from Budapest, together with Hungarian partners like Biopolis, for example, István Kenyeres and his team, with Kész, with a lot of good, excellent Hungarian players, because our goal is really to build up a Hungarian innovation hub around food. So I call it the 10 for 10. Basically 10 million Hungarians providing technology for 10 billion people on the planet. So we are starting the 10 for 10 movement.
Very ambitious, yes.
Well, I think Hungary used to be, particularly until 1989, one of the top 5 countries in agricultural research. Lost a little bit of the edge on that, but a lot of the basics, the foundation of that is still there. And we did look at the numbers, and there's 1,700 researchers, agricultural researchers in the country. Now, if we can get this research focused on market opportunities and on the challenges of mankind, like how do we feed 10 billion people without destroying the rainforest and the planet? That's a very, very big research department. And the other thing that Hungary has, I think, has very strong IT professionals. I always used to say not enough, but the quality is very, very high. Data scientists, you know, like you look at the Kaggle, you know, competitions globally, Hungarians are always there, somewhere in the top. So if we can combine the IT and the agricultural research, and we can demonstrate in Hungary that it's working, it is like, we call it blue ocean. There's basically, the sky is the limit to what we can do, and that we are a for-profit company, but we always say we can combine profit and purpose.
You also mentioned that you made a speech in the annual economics conference a couple of years ago. Actually, I remember I was there, so you were the keynote speaker at that time as well in the informatics session, and you talk about your plans. So that was the year that you took over Tungsram as a new owner. And I believe one of the big achievements is actually the agri-tech lighting business of Tungsram. Maybe you could say a couple of words about the results so far so that the audience can be aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, we practically started the agri-tech business from scratch. So there was always a little bit of certain products that could be used in agriculture, but it was never in the focus. So 3 years ago, we identified, after market research, after very careful consideration of where we want to go, which company we want to be, because we kind of started with a white sheet of paper, or I sometimes call it a startup on steroids, if you want to. Just happened to have 3,500 employees. But so we decided that food or agriculture, and particularly indoor agriculture, is one of the growing future-safe industries we want to play with. We then profited from the fact that we're doing light for 125 years. So most of the companies in the industry are coming one way or the other from research, agricultural research, and they also do light, while we are doing light as our core business. And we are working with research institutions, Hungarian, international research institutions, to get the plant know-how that is needed. And the other thing that was very beneficial when I look back is we know how to industrialize. So we have always, you know, we had a unit called WTG that was building factories all over the world. So we know how to industrialize, we know how to automate, we know how to scale. And now combining those things, now we are combining the light, we are combining our size, our scale, and we are combining the technical capabilities of the universities. And very, very quickly we have a product now that is globally competitive. And if everything goes well, next year we will be number 2 in the market globally.
This is amazing. So actually we have behind us the so-called agricultural lights. So these are the lights that I use mostly in huge greenhouses, which are lighting hectares of plants, and also in vertical farms, which actually is a location where we are at the moment. So behind us there's a vertical farm. You mentioned that actually Tungsram is planning to be one of the top players, maybe number 2 in the world in agricultural lighting. Maybe you can say a couple of words about that size. What is the market, and who are the main clients, where do you export, and so on?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at indoor farming, as we call it, there's let's say 2 distinct reasons why you want to move farming indoor. One is you have countries that have seasons. They have winter, they have summer, and obviously in the winter you cannot grow in outdoor farming. So basically you want to have fresh products all year round, 365 days per year. You see a lot of that in the Netherlands, for example. So, you know, if you're flying into Amsterdam, you're flying over hectares and thousands of hectares of roofs. You see flowers, you see vegetables, and many other crops. Now, this is evolving into what we call high-tech greenhouses, where you can control the environment, enrich it, for example, with CO2. You put proper light in it, and you know that's what we are doing. And then basically you're getting better products, you're getting better output, you're expanding the product portfolio. Now, the other reason why you have indoor farming is that your climate is so bad, there's no water, it's too hot, that you cannot really grow anything. So think about countries in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, these kind of countries. Now, these countries, and this is where we come back to what I said about COVID, these countries have just realized that it's not a good idea to import 90–95% of the food, which when everything goes well is no problem, right? But when there is COVID, then all of a sudden, when supply chains are breaking, you wake up in the morning, you don't know how to feed your population. And so this kind of what they call strategic autonomy or strategic sovereignty of food is becoming a very big topic there, and there's a lot of investment going there. Not surprisingly, we also tried to go, and we are planning to open a facility in Abu Dhabi, for example, but we're working with a lot of partners in the Middle East for exactly that reason, to increase the food autonomy in their countries.
This is super exciting, and thank you very much for sharing all this information with us. Congratulations for the results, and I hope that in a couple of years' time we can even talk about even more amazing achievement. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.